can't beat Respighi's Pines of Rome for an epic new theme song. Welcome. Let me be the first to welcome you to the International Sports Network and its flagship show, the International Sports Report. This is the show that you can find here right at this channel every single week for all sorts of stats, all sorts of standings, all sorts of scores, the most in-depth commentary that these two humble presenters can muster over some of the most important sporting action all over the world. Featuring baseball, of course, we don't forget our roots on the channel formerly known as the Global Baseball Network, but also for the first time ever, not only the global sport of football. We call it soccer in America, but we're not going to do that anymore. That's your one. That's the one and only time you're going to hear the word soccer on this channel. Maybe from me. Maybe he's going to have one more, but we're going to find out soon enough. So, for the first time ever, global football and Formula One racing to go along with baseball coverage. This is going to be an exciting new era here on the International Sports Network on its maiden voyage. I'm so very glad that you clicked on this video, the International Sports Report, for the week of March 17th. Before we get into it and I tell you more about what this show is going to entail, you might notice, for once, I am not alone on YouTube anymore. Who'da thunk it? Yes, indeed. I at last have found a co-host to join me here for weekly coverage, making sort of his broadcast debut, which was technically last week, but unfortunately the poltergeists of production had other ideas, and we weren't able to get that video out for you. But here we are a week later. We're going to have another go. This is our 2025 season preview show, but before we get into it, let's introduce our guest and brand spanking new co-host, shall we? Why don't you tell the viewers at home who you are, how we know each other, what we've worked together on, and what your history with sports is this year?
We first met in the summer of 2014 in beautiful Stanton, Virginia, at the American Shakespeare Center Theater Camp. We were roommates, and we both brought Captain Kirk costumes. And from that moment, we were just fast friends.
Yeah.
So me and sports. Growing up, I didn't really get into it when I was a kid. I played t-ball, baseball, like everybody. Go to the minor league hockey games and minor league baseball. We had a minor league baseball in Shreveport for a while.
Oh, sure.
Uh,
I'm familiar with them.
yeah,
I'm not sure if I remember the name though.
we had the captains, and then there were the Swamp Dragons. They had a couple other names, and I think they were the
Swamp Dragons
captains
is an
again when they
amazing name.
folded.
My word.
Oh yeah, Swamp Dragons. How are you gonna beat that? You're gonna go back to captains? Come on.
No.
But then everything just really clicked for me when I went to college, and from that moment, it's everything, full in on everything.
Well, you are the right man for this job, and I could not be more chuffed that and honestly, we spent time together at Shakespeare Camp, but it was a grand total of 3 weeks, and we never actually got to work side by side on a project. And now,
Unfortunately, we didn't.
plus like 10 plus years on, here we are. And before we get into it, thank you for joining me on this ride, my friend. Let's see
I'm
where this new era takes
thrilled
us.
to be here.
All right.
Couldn't be
So, as far as
happier.
what the remaining in perpetuity international sports report shows are going to look like, this one's probably going to be a little bit longer than normal. As I said, it's going to be our season preview show. It was supposed to come out last week. But again, we had some technical difficulties, and as a result, we have a Formula One race to talk about before we get
Yes,
into the
we
nitty gritty of the baseball season preview stuff. So that will be coming your way. Also, to look forward to on future shows, we'll have, as I mentioned at the top, in-depth score breakdowns and standing breakdowns to make sure you're up on all of the action on all the leagues that we cover on this channel, which are, for your reference, Nippon Professional Baseball in Japan, the Korean Baseball Organization in South Korea, the Chinese Professional Baseball League in Taiwan, later Liga Mexicana del Baseball in Mexico in the summer, and to go along with that, football action in England, the Netherlands, Italy, and Germany, and finally, Formula One racing. So, without further ado, let's begin the show as we're going to for the rest of our days working on this show with our top stories. We start in Melbourne after what is probably the most chaotic season opening race that I can remember while I've been following Formula One in all of that crazy rain. Lando Norris, your winner for McLaren in the Australia Grand Prix. MG, your first F1 race, right? That you've watched live?
Yeah, first one I've watched all the way through.
All right, well, give us your thoughts of on the chaos first off. I mean, it's not all going to look like that.
What a start. I mean, six crashes or otherwise non-completes.
Yep.
Oh man, you just feel so bad for Hajar.
Ugh, that's
Not
yeah.
even making
There's
it through the formation lap is just brutal on your debut. Like, oh, I really feel for the kid.
Yeah, and did you notice that they didn't take the cameras off him until like 5 or 6 minutes? So they followed him all the way down into the paddock.
I
Honestly, a
know.
lot of gut punching retirements from that race. And one really heartbreaking moment that I'm gonna get into from like somebody who finished the race. But before we jump the gun there, if you missed it, as I said, Lando Norris, your winner for McLaren. As MG said, five retirements from the race. Max Verstappen, George Russell
Shocking,
completing your podium.
shocking exit for signs in that.
I know. Signs out. I mean, the
Yeah,
the monumental collapse of Piastri there towards the end, but then he pulls
yeah.
it back.
One bad corner, one
Oh,
bad corner,
yeah. And that was
and,
all
and
it
up to that
was.
point, up to then, him, Norris, and Verstappen looked like the only ones really handling the wet.
Yeah, they really did. And honestly, I almost want to say that Mercedes like lucked into a podium finish, but I'm not sure that's fair to Kimi Antonelli, who was
No,
wicked on his debut. He had a great drive.
excellent.
Yeah, he
I
just
I think I think we could see a rather high finish for him if this race was any indication on the
in
season.
future, yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. So well done to him. But entertaining the hypotheticals, the shoulda, woulda, couldas of this race, you have to think that it probably would have been a McLaren 1-2 in dry conditions, right?
McLaren 1-2, possibly 1-3.
Oh yeah, so yeah, you don't want to
Verstappen
count out
is
Verstappen. You're right. You're right
yeah,
about that. You can't count Verstappen out, but
but I mean Norris from the opening, the whole race.
yeah, no, it seemed like he was a really different driver from this year into or from last year into this year rather. He just seems like he's improved so much. And the car, that's not even to mention
Oh,
the car. I mean, last week
oh, that
in the video
McLaren
that'll never
car.
see the light of day, you threw your lot in with Alpine, and then you saw the
Yeah,
McLaren.
then I saw the McLaren in action and I said I can't do this.
Yeah. No, I don't think you'll be sorry for
Yeah,
what.
the orange just grabbed my heart.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how it happens. Hopefully it dries out. Looking ahead to Shanghai this week. It's another
Yes,
street
it looks
circuit,
like
just like Albert
beautiful
Park, so it
weather.
should be pretty chaotic, I think. But as we look ahead, you think McLaren won too? For this race at least?
I think that's likely.
Yeah. Well,
I I again, you can't count out Verstappen.
no, no, because he got the best out of that Red Bull that Liam
He
Lawson laid a
looked like it
massive
was
egg in.
yeah, he looked like he was not driving in the wet.
No, I mean he's a
And I mean, incredible start from him, overtaking Piastri almost immediately.
yeah. I mean he's one of the greats. Pains me to say it because he's not the best person, but I mean honestly, if I had to deal with all the British bias in F1 media, I think I'd probably turn into that too. But it's potato potato. I don't really know. I don't want to really dignify him with any airtime on this show than more than we have to. But yeah, so well done to Max. It was a great drive. Bravo to him. But I think Red Bull, the era of Red Bull dominance is finished because we'll see what happens in Shanghai. But Max is
Rough
not
day
great
for
on the
Lawson.
entirety of the circuits for the
Yes.
38 race days. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk next week again when we look ahead to Shanghai. But before we get into our second top story, let's hit the audience with a 1, 2, 3 finish order for both the drivers and constructors championship this year. I'm going to go first and say it is Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, card carrying McLaren stand here, as you can't tell. And then constructors victory again for McLaren, but followed closely behind by Ferrari and Mercedes. The top three as they should
Okay.
be, in my view. MG, though, what about you? From what you saw in Melbourne, what is the rest of the season looking like for you?
I am gonna say our top three at the end is gonna be Norris, Verstappen, and then I'm gonna probably bite off a lot more than I should with the young Antonelli in
Ooh,
third.
I like the idea of that. I mean, finishing in the top three in the drivers' championship in your first season is incredible, and I do think going by Antonelli's drive, he might be capable of that. We don't really know what kind of car Mercedes has really built at this point,
This is true. Yeah, we don't.
so
And
we'll
he
find out soon
handled the
enough.
wall very well.
Yeah, no, he really really did. Shanghai this Sunday. Check it out if you weren't already planning on it. But top story number two, we go to the world of baseball, and something I'm going to pat you on the back for. Going back to last week's video again, the honestly proudest moment in the deep, long history of exhibition games between MLB and NPB, the Hanshin Tigers wiping the floor with both the Los Angeles Dodgers, world champion Los Angeles Dodgers, I might add, and the Chicago Cubs. 3-0 shutouts for the Tigers in both of those games. Just the scenes.
Incredible.
Wicked,
Incredible.
wicked stuff.
And I mean, two just, I mean, banner franchises for Major League Baseball. And I mean, I'm not going to pretend like my Cubs have been world beaters lately. They're one of the headline franchises, and
Yeah.
to get shown up like that, I mean, it's really speaks to the level that Japanese baseball is at right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got yourself when you saw that scoreline. I'll be honest, you sent me that little meme with the Hanshin Tigers at the top of the power rankings, and it took me a second to realize what you were talking about. But that those games are a glimpse that you got into why this channel exists. Is because,
Yes.
this is a long, fascinating, ongoing process that we're hoping here that NPB is mentioned in the same breath as MLB here in just a few years' time. And results like this, yes, they're exhibition, and there's always going to be people trying to explain it away, but
Sure.
just wicked, wicked performances for the Tigers in both of these
Yeah.
games against the Cubs. Hits from Koji Chikamoto, Shota Morishita, Teraki Sato, Ryotaro Umino, Ukyo Maegawa, and Hiroshi Toyota. Even some youngsters getting in on the action, getting those hits off the Cubs bullpen, and then 5 no-hit innings from Mobetsu in that
Yeah.
game. Cubs just managed 3 hits, but Seiya Suzuki did get one, which was a nice little moral victory
If
there. And then
anyone
against
had to
the
get it.
Dodgers, Hiroto Saiki shutting out a full complement of Dodgers hitters. This was not an underpowered squad, arguably with the exception of no Mookie Betts. But that's one hitter. And then you had
Well,
the
yeah.
the incredible 3-run home run from Sato. He goes deep. I don't remember who he went deep off of, but it was still an incredible home run. And then getting a Daichi Ishii save to go along with it. And I think we're going to end up talking about the Tigers a lot as we roll on into our proper season preview segment here, but they really made a statement of intent with those 2 victories.
I see some very, very strong results in their future this season.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Let's not mess around here, shall we? We'll get right into it here. Going in to NPB, our questions at hand as we look at the outlook for these teams. Question number one: do the Bay Stars repeat as Japan Series champions, maybe, or at the very least, Central League pennant winners? At the very least, I think they're going to be in a fight with the Tigers if the Tigers don't pull away
Yes.
with it.
No question they're going to be in a fight.
Yeah.
It's the Dana is still a very good squad. It's gonna be a battle. I last week think I predicted the Tigers to finish third going into the playoffs.
You did?
I am gonna bump that up to second now.
Smart man. But you do still think DNA is gonna take the regular season crown, at least.
I think they are going to take the regular season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's understandable. This pitching staff and this hitting core is built to last. I love the team that Daisuke Muro's put together. I mean, I don't know if here's a little homework assignment for you and you watching
Okay.
at home. Go look up Daisuke Mura's hair during his playing days. It's a truly magnificent black mane of hair that he's got. He really looks like he walked straight off of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but that's neither here nor there. Mura has created a very resilient, tough as nails, sort of like a gamey, almost like a 30s Cubs kind of squad. You know, these guys that
Yeah.
have like four or five of them have been 300 over the course of the season, and then you have Tyler Austin, who is, I think, fair to say, the next Randy Bass at this point, continuing to mash. As long as he stays healthy, he is going to be a problem for the pitchers of Central League. We'll do a predicted standings here for the Central League. I'm gonna go ahead and buck you a little bit and say Hanshin. Not only do they win the pennant, they're probably going to at least feature in the Japan series. They finished first, Bay Stars in second. It will be close though. It will be close though. A little bit of a
Yeah.
coin flip situation because the Tigers, I mean, their pitching staff is just phenomenal. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't really put up a performance like that against the best team in the major leagues in MLB and be ignored after that.
No.
Just a wicked stable. I mean, this is pretty much the same pitching core that got them the Japan Series victory in 2023. So, I mean, they're really not at all depleted. But anyway, DNA second, followed by Hiroshima, Yomiuri, the Swallows, and the Dragons. Because I think the third place playoff spot's also going to be interesting. The Giants, Swallows, and Carp, there's not really a whole lot separating them
Yeah.
either. And they all have their separate strengths that you can really pinpoint for them that, I mean, could win them or lose them a ball game on any given day. So, I mean, that's a totally arbitrary order. They could flip flop at any given moment, but I'm going to say the Dragons finished last because even though they haven't added the right players to really make themselves competitive.
No. I also have the Dragons at the bottom.
Okay, lay it
I
out.
have nearly the same list except DNA above Hanshin
Mm, okay. Okay. I
for the
mean, well,
regular season.
there you have it, folks. The smart money. Bet on the Bay Stars at this point in time, or Hanshin if you're feeling frisky. I will go ahead and say go Tigers at this point. I mean, I'd say they're my Central League team. You know, kind of how American baseball fans, like you and I both are National League fans, but we
Oh
both have an
yeah.
American League team. Same kind of thing in Central League. I mean, because I can root for Hanshin and root for Cebu. But actually, good segue. Have you picked any teams in these leagues that we're going to be following
Uh
in your
yes I
research?
have. Well, NPB I'm still undecided on that. I really, really do like these Hanshin Tigers. And to be frank, I have liked the Hanshin Tigers since I learned about the Curse of the Colonel years ago.
Ah,
I'm a Cubs fan, so curses are kind of in the blood.
yep, yep, that makes
Um,
complete sense.
but then, favorite player Ichiro coming from the Buffaloes. We'll have some words about the Buffaloes in a moment, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, let's tuck into it here. We had some big Pacific League Gaijin editions I wanted to touch on, and
Yeah, let's talk about those.
a very, very talented young Taiwanese pitcher being added to the fighters rotation who went by the name of Rue Yang-gu-lin. Can you tell we're both white guys? But he really, really did well in the years that he had in the CBPL, and now he's coming into a very young and talented fighters rotation that I think personally is a really scary ball club, and they're going to be challenging for the first place crown in the Pacific League. I don't think they're going to take it this year, but I mean, they were
I
scary
don't
enough
think so.
last year. They have slowly but surely been on the rise, and this might be the year where they go a ways. We'll see what happens.
Certainly in a playoff spot.
Yeah, for sure. And the other one I'll mention is for those Buffaloes getting a really talented, seasoned, hardened MLB veteran in Jordan Diaz for their infield.
Yeah.
I really like this pickup. I mean, I think this is somebody you're going to be adding a little extra power into that team that desperately kind of needs some pop, and because they don't really have it anymore. With Maury still behind the plate, he can pretty reliably deliver for you. You got Yuma Mune on third, Yutaro Sugimoto out in left field and DHing. But there's a lot of holes in the rest of that lineup, and so if you have a good hitter like Diaz, he's going to add a little bit more balance in a ball game. But I don't think it's going to be enough to make too much of a dent in their opponents. I don't know. Maybe you feel differently.
No.
Yeah, yeah, I think
And it's you'd like them to have a better season this year than the disaster that was last season.
I mean,
Especially, runners up in 2023 and winners in 22 to have that 2024 campaign.
playoff hangover is a thing everywhere.
It is,
Everybody gets them.
absolutely is.
I mean, it's an important lesson to learn for sure. So I think Oryx is, yeah, there might be they might be in for a hurt of a season. I don't really like the idea of Hiroya Miyagi in as an ace. He just doesn't really seem like he has the stuff to really guarantee victories like a good ace really does. I mean, I think they're still missing Yamamoto, honestly, Oryx.
Yeah.
So, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But talking of those Hawks, they haven't really lost too much in the offensive department either. And I think the only thing that we can agree upon and hang our hats on in terms of hoping for their downfall is the continued veterancy of their players. Because, and I don't know if you turn this up in your research, this is a team that does not post people very often.
They do not.
No, no. And Arihara, I mean, I think it seems like he has really kind of lost some confidence ever since he got back from the bigs. I don't know about that, but well, it's a small sample size for him in a
Yeah.
SoftBank uniform, but I really like the stuff he has. He's still young, he's still talented, but I mean, I don't know. These other guys are just getting old and getting
Yeah.
decrepit, and they can't really pitch at the same level that Hawks fans are used to anymore. I think their offense is still strong, but if Big Boss and the Fighters are going to find a way to challenge them, it's by beating their old pitching staff. I don't know. What's your
Yes.
assessment of it?
I agree completely. I still think Hawks are going to take the Pacific for the regular
Yeah,
season at
likewise.
least.
I think their offense is just too strong.
Yeah, and it's a small ball league, and they've got good contact.
You might have. I don't know if you realize the bee's nest you just stepped on, because that's a big debate in and amongst the fan base that we don't really know how to classify NPB, if it's a pitcher's league or a hitter's league. It seems like everybody that you talk to has a different opinion about it. But anyway, let's have topic for another day. But
Yeah.
before we move a little further north into Korea, let's do our Pacific League standings here. I'm going to go Hawks at the top. I'm going to go Fighters in second. I'm going to go the Rakuten Eagles in third. They've made a lot of smart, sort of savvy additions at the holes that they really needed. Nobody that's really going to knock your socks off, but enough to probably comfortably take that third spot. And then as we go further down the list, I mean, it just gets mediocre to bad. The Marines are the epitome of mediocre. They're going to be sitting in fourth, in my view. Buffalo's in fifth. And it pains me to say it, the Cebu Lions down in the basement yet again, despite the additions that they have made. I mean, there's just too much that's unproven about this team. It's maddening,
Yeah.
let me tell you. I mean, this pitching staff is so talented, and they are completely wasting it by not having the necessary hitters to take advantage and win games. But I think probably by the time these guys are developed, the pitching staff is going to be completely done. But one can only hope that we're in a rebuild. We'll see.
We'll see. Time
But the
will tell.
standings list for you is
I've got Hawks in first, Eagles behind, followed closely by the Fighters. and then a little bit better year for Buffalo than the last, followed by Marines and of course Lions.
We're going to roll on into Korea up into the KBO, and we return to a yet another impressive champion team in the Kia Tigers that really put a beat down on the rest of the league. And I know I asked you this last week, but I wondered if you could expand upon it a little bit more since you had some time to research this playoff system that the KBO has. Talk to me about what your feelings are on it. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Would you make some changes? Would you like to maybe see it in
It's
more leagues around the
really
world?
interesting.
Yeah?
Really interesting. It's
Um,
it's a it, I mean it makes it a brutal path to the finish if you're not coming in as a higher seed.
yeah. But I mean, we're used to that in American sports, I think. It's
It's
not too
true, yeah.
dissimilar, but and I'm a massive fan of this sort of king of the hill type of system that they've got going on.
I think I like it.
Yeah, good.
And also, I think you're inviting you're having to sit for a long time if you're coming in as the top dog, and you can
It
cool
balances
off
it
in
out,
that
right?
time. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a genius idea, but we ask, do what the Kia Tigers really have lost, and can they repeat?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, point blank. I mean, I don't even really need to tell you what they did too much in the offseason. I'm going to anyway, just so you know. Player you might know fairly well. They brought in Patrick Wisdom to play third base in a hole that they had in their infield, and they're keeping pretty much the entire offensive core. Kim Do Young stays. He hit 38 homers last year. Kim Sung Bin also stays. Both of those guys hit 300. And then they had the KBO wins leader in James Nail, and he's still around for another year. I mean, where is the hole in this Tigers team? Matt Williams has
Yeah.
done a terrific job managing these guys, and I think it's safe to say they're going to repeat. Question number two, moving on to the Hanwha Eagles. They've been in the basement for a good while. They weren't last year. They made it out of the basement finally. But with what they've done, can they finish any higher than eighth?
I'm gonna be bold, and I'm gonna say they're coming in fourth.
Fourth. Okay. I like this
Yep.
idea. I like this idea. I like what they've brought in. Esteban Florial, I think, is going to be a sneaky good pickup for them. He can hit pretty comfortably in the middle of their order, and it is a hitter friendly park. New stadium as
Yeah.
well, which we
Very,
talked about
very
last week.
pretty park. It's really gonna favor right-handed hitters with that low outfield wall.
And guess what Florial is? Yeah, but it's in the
Yep.
mode of, in case you haven't seen it, watching at home, Escon Field in Hokkaido and Chase Field in Arizona. Just a very modern, amenity heavy, just a beautiful place to watch a baseball game. So do yourself a favor, and if you haven't seen what Hanwha's new stadium is going to look like, go take a look. And again, it's a question of intent, right? When you build a stadium like this, it means you have a lot of money coming in and you're investing a lot in the future of your team. So I think this probably signals a brand new era for these Eagles. I think they're an interesting team to watch. I'm not sure fourth, but definitely higher than eighth, I'd say. But we'll get into that in a moment. Just for your own edification at home, another few additions that were made that are notable. You had a guy with a lot of MLB pedigree joining the Doosan Bears staff in Cole Irvin. And that was already a pretty darn good pitching staff from the 2024 season that just got better. You also had Ariel Jurado, who was the top pitcher for Kiwoom last year, moving over to the already stacked rotation of the Samsung Lions. So, I mean, these are the top teams doing very savvy business and opening flashy new stadiums and things like that. It seems like MLB's just spreading all over the place. But anyway, no, those are your notable additions. You also have the addition of some new rules, including the pitch clock. The batter's now also going to have 33 seconds to get into the batter's box, and we have the automated balls and strikes zone that is going to be instituted in KBO this year as well, along with the, I believe, ABS is going into AAA this year and then into MLB next
I
year,
think
if memory
so,
serves.
yeah.
Okay. I'll have to confirm that. But those are the new rules for KBO, and that takes us to our standings. Here's what I got. I got Kia and Samsung back at the top again. Doosan in third, thanks to their savvy business. The Twins don't really seem like they've lost much in the way of offense, and they seem like they've had the same foreign pitchers who are amazing for a really long time, and they don't really seem like they want to go anywhere. And as long as you keep those guys until they get old, they're going to be dangerous. It's definitely enough for me to take fourth. And then you have my Lotte Giants in fifth. I like the additions that they've made, and they've hung on to the pieces that have brought them success in recent years, but I don't really think they've done enough business to go a little further up the table. Landers, Eagles, Dinos, Heroes finishing up the list. Oh, I did forget to mention Wiz in fifth, Giants in sixth. I missed that. I apologize. MG, your standings list, if you please.
So Kia, of course, is the obvious number one, followed by Doosan, and then I have Samsung in third. As I said previously, Hanwha in fourth, LG, Wiz, Landers, Giants, Dinos, and the Heroes in the basement.
Where they belong. Do you know that Yasiel Puig is still on that team?
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's a blast from the past, I'm sure, for you at home as
Wow.
well.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I mean, there it is. And in case you're wondering when all this goes down, it all happens on the same bloody weekend, March the 27th. MLB starting then, NPB starting then, KBO starting then, and CBPL getting started then as well. Top story in Taiwan, a couple of years into the expansion, and we put the TSG Hawks under the microscope. They seem to really be growing into the league year by year. We ask, are they going to do any better? I have my answer to that. What is yours, though, first?
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see a sneaky good Hawks team this year.
Well, I love a lot of things about what they've done in the offseason, but bringing in a guy with a lot of NPB experience in Wu Nenting, who played for
Yeah.
a number of different squads in NPB, going up against some really stellar pitching, I think he's probably going to rake, especially in the opening weeks of the season. And you pair him up with a guy who's got a lot of MLB experience in Zhu Lin, and you have a really nasty 3-4 combination in the lineup for the Hawks. I mean, it just proves that there's a lot of money. Again, going back to that thing with the Eagles, there's a lot of money getting put into this team. And
Yeah.
if the further you go down the paper trail of the money of the Hawks, you realize just how many powerful people are involved in the success of this team. But you have a lot of good additions made in the offseason, too. You had a great steal by the Hawks of Eric Stout, good foreign pitcher from the Brothers. And they were good last year and honestly are starting to just really gel as a team. I think they're probably going to get better. We'll see just how much, though, as we roll on. But turning to the champions, the CTBC Brothers. Similarly to Kia, but maybe not to DNA and maybe to McLaren. Are we seeing a new dominant era for the Taichung boys? I personally think so. They just have done a marvelous job at hanging on to the right people, getting rid of the wrong people, and then hanging on to this the way they play baseball in their own
Yeah.
unique fashion. I mean, and this fan base is nuts. They are I'm sure absolutely chuffed right now. They're ready for round two here. What do you think though of the brothers?
I agree complete with everything you said. I think we're poised for an era of brothers in Taiwan. Really interesting addition of Mexican right-handed pitcher Humberto Castellanos
I was hoping you were going
in
to
the
talk about that. What
offseason.
do you got?
We got a guy with major league experience. He was pretty good in AAA last year, in the Diamondback system. And then coming into the CPBL, I think we'll see some. I think he's going to be pretty good over there. I think he's going to do well in this league.
I think you're right. I think the real question is whether or not he's going to stick around long term. Because if he puts up great
Yeah,
numbers, he might be back over the Pacific Ocean. But we'll see. Him and Nivaldo Rodriguez, I think, are going to be a pretty lethal combination in the brothers' pitching staff that still includes the great Jose de Paula. So I mean, where point to the holes in this team? I don't really think there are any because on the other side of the ball, Chen Zhuhao and Chang Kun-yu are also there, and they've been absolutely bossing it for the Taiwanese national team, and they don't really look like they're slowing down anytime soon. They have both agreed, in case you're wondering though, agreed to 6+ multi-year contracts. So they're going to be
Oh,
around for a very long time. But the remaining question only is where are the Uni Lions going to be in all of this? The perennial rivals of the brothers. They've lost Mario Sanchez to their arch rivals, and he was amazing for them last year. But are they still the best hitting team in the league? I think so. What do you think?
I think they probably are.
Yeah, again, this is just a question of where what you look and what have they lost because you still have Chessian Chen, who's a beast. Yongche Chen is also a beast, and then you have the perennial home run leader in Anko Lin, who has only matured since he entered the league and is still going to pretty reliably bring you 25 plus home runs every single year. I think the
Oh
question
yeah,
only is going to be whether or not this pitching staff is able to keep up. But I like the addition of Joe Wheeland. You know, this is
yeah,
another sort of MLB cast off, but I think he's probably a little over the hill, but we'll see what happens. We'll see the rubber meets the road. Their pitching coaches tend to be pretty good, and they get the best out of some older dudes. But
yeah.
as we head to the standings, to the first half, I got Lions winning the first half, followed by the Brothers, Hawks, Monkeys, Dragons, and Guardians because the Guardians rather, they just don't like to spend money, and
No,
this is just another one of these companies that you find sometimes in the three big leagues in Asia that forget that they have a baseball team, Fubon. They just need to spend some money. And you know, there's some pieces here that could make an intriguing team, but they just never do.
yeah,
What about
they.
your first half?
I've got nearly the same, but I have brothers taking both halves.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, I had the Brothers taking the second half at least because the last few years they've gotten hot at just the right time. Lions in two, Hawks in third, but and that does put the Hawks in playoff contention for those keeping
Yes,
score at home. So, and then followed by the Monkeys, Dragons, and Guardians again because they're just not really doing enough to bolster what they have and get them over the top. As long as this team, or rather, as long as this league is only 6 teams long, only 6 teams long. As long as this league is only made up of 6 teams, you have to do so much to distinguish yourself from the competition. And, you know, if you have apathetic ownership, like some of these teams do, I mean, what else is there
what can you
for it?
do?
We're not going to bother with playoff predictions because that is its own video. But that brings our season preview show, the season preview spectacular, as it were, to an end. And we actually got it on video this time. So you will be seeing this. Happy Friday to you as you're watching this. You made it until the end of the week. I do hope that you enjoy Shanghai. Should be a heck of a race, and you can expect
Yes,
way more from us as the season progresses. Namely, on next week's show, next week's show is at last going to be business as usual for what you can expect on the International Sports Report. We will be starting the show with score updates all around the top leagues in world football, getting to our news top stories in amongst these leagues as well, examining the final death knells of spring training in all three big Asian baseball leagues. Looking ahead a little bit to Mexico, but not too much because it's not quite time for them to start yet. And then we'll also look back at the World Baseball Classic, pick a few winners and losers and MVPs from the qualifiers and how the 2026 tournament is shaping up. That's all next week on the International Sports Report. My thanks to Matthew Gasicki, who did a marvelous job in his first ever recorded sports broadcasting commentary job. He was terrific. Sound off in the comments to make sure you tell him what a great job he did. Just leave us a comment, actually, and let us know which teams you're going to be following in the new season of 2025 international sports. But for this week's edition, the very first edition of the International Sports Report here on ISN. That is going to do it for us. So please do like and share this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe and hit the bell icon down there below the video screen to be notified every single time we upload a new episode of this show, or maybe just some surprise fun uploads scattered in and around our journalistic endeavors here on this international sports channel. I've been Marshall Lamert. This has been Matthew Giesecke as well on our first ever episode of the International Sports Report. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week. But for now, that's the game.